coming in there at number 3. At number 2, the most controversial moment of the entire list. You guys thought he was going to be number 1 this entire time.
Yeah.
But he's not. And he is the guy who is the best quarterback. I'm sorry, let me run that back. The best damn quarterback in Longview history. Quotation marks verbatim from the guy himself, John King. And there is no argument.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no argument from me about who is the best damn quarterback from Longview High School. The only one that ever got to hold that trophy over his head. And then, dog, the way that he played in the game.
Yeah.
Like, amazing. So let's talk about all of the positive things for Haynes King before we say why he wasn't number 1.
Okay.
Because when you look at his total stats, it's gonna be like, how in the hell does a guy
number 1?
How's a guy that threw for a school record of 7,910 yards and 86 touchdowns, and then he rushed for 1,408 yards and 20 touchdowns? So a guy that has 106 touchdowns in his career, we got this guy at number 2. So we'll talk about why he's at number 2 later, but let's just speak on the great things about Haynes King. Haynes King was he's everybody's little brother, man.
That's a fact. It's like, obviously, if you've played for Longview in these past 20 years that we're speaking about, I wouldn't say 20, because obviously he's not even 20 years old yet.
Right.
But I say for the last 18, 19. Yeah, exactly. So if you've been around, you've seen this kid. You've seen him grow from a little crawling baby. It's a picture of him. The perfect picture to describe this is the picture of him crawling with Chris Reese in the background. It was in like 2001 maybe,
right,
or maybe 2002. Who knows?
2002, I think.
It could have been, but he's in the locker room in the original Lobo den before it got upgraded. That's him, and just as the years go by, I remember seeing Haynes when he was a litlittle kid, but then you see just years go by. He's always
there.
He's always there, and he's always got a football in his hand.
Right.
He used to be at the fucking games dressed in full pads, like he was ready to go out there and play with us.
Right.
And not knowing that the whole time he's just soaking up all this game. He's breathing football. We don't know what he's gonna be. Obviously, you would hope that he would stay there. Coach King and his family would stay long enough to see Haynes, and then it happens.
But
it goes better than we all could ever imagine.
For one, who stays in one place long enough to see their kid as a baby grow up in one city and then live all 18 years in that one city and get a chance to be the guy that he was?
And then hearing the promise that he made, that I want to get Longview to stay. I'm going to win a state championship. Telling
his dad that after we lost the second time against Lake Travis.
Yeah.
And then to fulfill that promise his junior year. Let's talk about his sophomore season. Sophomore season, everybody in the freaking coach's office is saying the best quarterback on our team is number 10.
Yeah.
And yet, because it's his son and he wants to make him earn it,
right,
he starts Jordan Lawson. And this ain't a shit on Jordan Lawson. Jordan Lawson was a good player.
He was.
Jordan Lawson was a good teammate and a great player. Could have been, and any other year, Jordan Lawson probably could have took his 3 or 4 rounds deep.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Haynes as a sophomore didn't really do too much different that I don't think Jordan Lawson probably could have done.
Right.
Honestly, I think if Jordan Lawson plays his game, he probably holds off Haynes a little bit longer, but I think he's trying to prove that he could throw it just as good as Haynes. Kind of got him in the position that he was in, but that's not here nor there.
Right.
But Haynes comes in after the 5th game of the year, after a loss where he kind of played well in the second half. He's a starter. And King comes into the office and he hits the desk and he says, Haynes is going to be the starter from here on out, and I don't want to hear a word about it. And we're like, duh. Like, he thought we were going to go in there and fight about it. Like, duh. Like, we were wanting you to do this in August.
It's crazy to even think about that. Even before they propelled him to the starting position, he was playing receiver.
Yeah. Has a 40-yard catch in his career against Marshall. Yeah. Only catch he has. Well, not the only one, but the only one he has playing receiver.
Yeah.
So he goes 10-1 as a sophomore, leads the team to the 5th round. Threw for 2,100 yards as a sophomore, 25 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, which is special.
Yeah.
Like that's the best. Like that's one of the best years in quarterback history at Longview High School, and he does that in an 11-game sample.
Yeah.
You know, his junior year is the most special thing I've ever seen.
Read him out, man.
His junior year is the most special thing I've ever seen. From game 1 to game 16, he was special, with the exclusion of a couple of games in there. But as a junior, leading Longview to the first state championship in 81 years, throws for 3,877 yards.
Wow.
That is more yards than probably 3 seasons combined in Longview history, if you want to go.
Yeah.
He throws for 41 touchdowns. Here's this. What's the best number on there? 4 interceptions.
That wasn't all his fault.
And all of it wasn't all his fault.
I'll say that.
3 of them were, but 1 of them wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So 41 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. So you think this guy's a pocket passer, right? 3,800 yards. Nope. He runs for 664 yards and 8 touchdowns as well. 2018 is the most special offense probably ever. Probably one of the best high school offenses ever.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking state. I'm talking nation. One of the best offenses in America. Probably in American high school history, dog. You've got a 3,800-yard thrower and he runs for 600 yards as a quarterback. Yeah. Then you've got a 1,200-yard rusher in Jesse. And then you've got another 1,000-yard rusher in Keelan Williams.
Yeah.
And then you've got all these great receivers just getting 300, 400, and then Camden with the 1,800 yards. Like one of the best offenses ever, bro. That's not near there.
Yeah.
Stupid, man.
Third string running back. I think he
third string runs for 800. And he plays in the... Well, come on. After that remarkable season, Haynes is named Texas Player of the Year, 6A Player of the Year, Ford Player of the Year, East Texas MVP by every East Texas site, and then, of course, District MVP. By those standards, you know, what Haynes did is the greatest. His junior year is the greatest. Like, people, like, I don't understand. Like, this is just as good as anything that Kyler Murray's ever did in high school.
Yeah.
That 1 year as a junior propelled him to 5-star status after that year.
Yeah.
The first 5-star I think we've ever had in program history.
He was #1 in the state, right?
He was #1 quarterback, dual threat in the state. At one point, I think he was the #3 quarterback in the nation.
Yeah.
After his junior year, like, the shit that he did was Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, like any other quarterback you want to talk about as being great. Yeah. That's the kind of level Haynes King played on as a junior. The state championship game, right. He throws for I don't know how many yards, 423 something yards.
He
throws for like 423 yards, and then he rushes for another 75. The state touchdown game where he runs a 25-yard touchdown run. Yeah. One of the most. He looks like Bambi running that thing because he's got some long legs. But man, when he's running his strong.
Yeah.
One of the best touchdown runs, and I think that's what put him. That's what put his play over Aaron Johnson. That state championship game was insane. Right. The most amount of yards that you could have in, like the most, he sets the record for total yards in the state championship game.
Yeah.
423 throwing, I think 67 rushing. That mark hasn't been touched yet in 2 years. Wow. Or in a year. So all of these things, how is it this guy the #1 player?
Let's talk about
with the same reason why Malcolm is at #7.
Yeah.
Is the reason why Haynes is at #2. His senior year, there is a such thing as expectations.
Yeah.
You cannot feed me a steak dinner, potatoes,
with all the
fixings, great wine,
yeah,
great dessert.
Yeah.
I go home, I'm going on a date, and I get to hit it the first night, bro.
Yeah.
I have a great meal.
Yeah.
I go home, we have a great date. We laugh, we play, have we do everything that you want to do with on that first night.
Folks things.
We do some grown folks things on the first night, and it's excellent. Like everything that I could ever want in my life. I go home and I'm happy, and then the next night you don't call me, and that's what happens this senior year, and it was a really big letdown because it just wasn't the same guy. Of course, we lose in the second round in senior year. But it's not just losing in the second round. It's kind of how Haynes played the whole year. Never was comfortable. Never was in a rhythm. And then if you take into account against John Tyler on national TV, the worst I've ever seen him play.
It was terrible.
It was abysmal.
It was terrible.
The worst I've ever seen him play. So his senior year numbers, 1,900 yards, 1,926 yards, 20 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. On the ground, he ran for 506 yards and 10 touchdowns. That's pretty good in 11 games. But what he did his senior year left a bad taste in our mouth.
Yeah.
What he did his senior year creates doubt on what he can do at the next level. I think if you're honest about it, you got to be honest about it. What you saw out of Haynes this senior year is like, what we going to do?
Yeah.
We're going to shit a mildew. I mean, we're going to barbecue.
It was a lot of people saying that.
And it left open to people saying, Camden Perry made Haynes King.
There you go. A lot of people were
and to be honest with you, you can kind of. I can't tell somebody they're wrong.
Yeah.
I won't say that they're right completely, but I can't say that you're wrong because when he didn't have Camden Perry, he did look very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
He didn't have a go-to receiver. He didn't have a guy that was going to bail him out sometimes. And so that's why Haynes is where he is here. He's the best damn quarterback in school history. What he did his sophomore and junior year, if that was it, if those were his junior and senior years, he'd be the #1 player without question.
Right.
But because you've given us this great steak dinner and you blew my mind the night before, you know what I'm saying? And then you don't call me the next night.
For real.
And I thought me and you were both having a great time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Me and you were both having a great time.
This analogy is perfect.
And then the next day you don't call me. It's like either you was married or I don't know.
Right. You using me?
Let's not talk about life experience, but let's move on. But yeah, man, I think Haynes had to have some type of, I don't want to say punishment.
Yeah.
But you can't do what you did your senior year and be called the #1 player of all time.
Nah.
You can't be called the #1 player in the last 20 years when you leave us like how you left us. And so, you know, you can say I'm hating. I don't care what people say out of it. I think it's the truth.
Of course we're not hating on
exactly. Love Haynes King. Love Haynes King. He's everybody's little brother, and he's an
even to the people that he don't know.
Exactly.
He don't. I know he probably is like he's.
Bro, it was the most annoying thing, and no other player had to deal with the shit that Haynes King had to deal with. For one, your dad's Haynes King. I mean, your dad is John King.
Yeah.
For two, your mama's Jody King, who is more tougher.
Yeah.
She's more tougher than dad is. You've got that, and then after every game, the reason why people couldn't come on the field this year is because we had to protect Haynes.
Yeah.
Usually there's a security guard, police officer around Coach King, and he escorts him off the field.
Right.
For the first time ever, there was a police escort for a player on the team.
Wow.
Haynes King. Haynes King, in a sense, is taking press releases after the game.
Yeah.
You got these guys that are coming up and they're interviewing him after the game. It really didn't happen like that. You got interviewed by the newspaper and that was it. But now he's on YouTube after the game talking about how he played or whatever. You've got people lined up to take pictures with this guy after the game.
That is a fact.
Little kids lined up. And you can see Haynes is a little uncomfortable with this.
But he handled it so good.
He handled it gracefully.
He handled it so good.
But the pressures that he played with this season, after winning a state championship, now you're the 5-star recruit. Now you've done what everybody said you were going to do, and now you've got to go do it again.
Yeah.
I don't think any other kid has had those kind of pressures to be John King's son.
Yeah.
To the pressure that is being the head coach's son. You know, he did it gracefully, didn't play gracefully this senior year.
Nah.
But I think the change of scenery is what's going to help him at A&M.
Yeah.
To not being around his dad and mom every day. To, you know, not just be, you know, Haynes King the God. Now I'm Haynes King the kid, the player. You know, I'm just like everybody else. I'm trying to fight and scratch my way out into this thing.
Right.
You know, I think it'll be good to see a change of scenery for him. And I think he'll return to that status that he had as a junior.
Yeah.
You know, I think
hope so.
Haynes at the top of his game is a Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah.
First draft pick of the draft when he plays at this top of his ability.
Yeah.
And when he doesn't, then he's a middle of the road kind of guy. Let's just be honest about it. And what he did the senior was middle of the road. So that's kind of where he earns here at number 2. Love Haynes King to death. Brought us home a state championship to make us, you know, a legit program.
Haynes King, yeah.
You know, we love you, Haynes.
He's the man.
And he is the man, and that's where he shows up here at number 2. And at number 1,
what they've been waiting for.
What they've been waiting on. The top player from Longview High School since the year 2000 is Vondrell McGee.
Number 3.
Number 3, Vondrell McGee, the number 1 player in school history.